and this covers a lot of things of how scripting works in Unity in general. So so this is what we are going to do today, and let's start right into it. So I'll start a new Unity project, and you guys can follow along. Uh, by the time your my project gets created, you can try getting your project created too. Uh, and just a general note that if you have any doubts or any time you anything you want me to explain again, you can basically type it in the chat, and I'll be taking it from there. Thank you. Let's just wait for my Unity project to be built. Okay, so so here's the project newly. So here's the newly created project. And first of all, I guess in the previous session, Ashutosh told you about how the different aspects of Unity's user interface work. So today we are going to do scripting, and just to see from as you saw in the template, what we are going to do today, we need to create some sort of uh, grid, and we need to have a player moving on the grid. Okay, so of course, because we'll be doing scripting, let's create a folder which stores all the script. And I'm very particular about how I arrange my project folder, and I expect that while working, you also follow a very organized manner so that everything comes in place. So uh, so let's create a so we want to generate some things we want to generate uh, some tiles in grids. So for that let's create a empty object called level manager, and let's create a let's right click over here, create a new script, create a new C# script, and name it level manager. And now open this in your Visual Studio Code. Uh, I hope everyone has reached this stage. You can like drop a +1 in chat if you are here. Okay. Mm. If you want me to repeat what I did, I'll just go over it. So basically, I right clicked in this hierarchy table and went to create an empty object and named it level manager. And after that, I created a new folder in this project section. I created a new folder and named it scripts. So to organize my scripts, and I created a new script called a new C# script and called it a level manager. And now this script I have opened using Visual Studio. Visual Studio. Okay, so that's what I did. And now I'll tell you about how exactly does the Unity's uh, how does Unity work essentially. So look at it this way. So we in every script will be given these two functions, void start and void update. So this void start function will be one called at the very first at the very first frame. Whatever you have written inside this, and whatever is written inside update function will be called at every frame of your game. Okay. So let's try to do something. Uh, let's define a public integer, public int. Uh, let's name it integer for now. Or okay, let's name it number. Fine. Okay, I declared a number, declared a public integer, and now once you declare this, uh, okay, you are declared. Now what you do, you go to this level manager and drag this script and put it over here. To drag the script into the level manager, and now you drag the script over here. And after that, what you can do is, so I declared a public integer number. So so that will be visible to you in the inspector menu when you click on the level manager after you drag this. So you can change its value over here. Maybe I'll make it 420 and uh, I'll make it 420 and I will maybe print it once. So for printing anything into the console, we use debug.log and I will print the number over here. And once you're done that, let the script compile. And once you click the play button, you can see in the console that 420 has been printed once. The number has been printed once. Fine. Uh, that this happened because we called this debug.log in the void start function. If we do the same in void update function, let's see what happens. So you can see now you can see that at every frame the number is being printed. So that is because the update function is called every frame. So as many frames have passed since I started the game, that many times this has been printed. So I'll just clear the log and go to project. Okay. So okay. So what we want to do is we want to generate a 2D grid. So let's for that we'll create a cube. So let's create a 3D object cube and let's create a 3D object cube and maybe reset resets a reset property and let's scale it down vertically to 0.25 so that it looks like a tile. Okay. Now let's create another cube. Make a copy of the cube To make a copy of the cube, click it in the hierarchy and press Control D. So now we have a copy of the cube. Okay. Now in the template that I showed you, the cube was basically cube had alternating chessboard pattern. So we'll try to generate something similar to that. So uh, let's have the other cube with a different color. So create a new folder and name it material, and create a new material. Right click create and go to material and change its color to like, and once you select the material, you can see in your inspector that you can change its color to something grayish and drag that material into our second cube. So this is what the cubes look like. And now create a new folder called prefabs. Prefabs, and these are prefabs are basically prefabs are basically those type of object which you are going to use repeatedly in your game. So open the prefabs folder and drag these cubes from the hierarchy into the folder section over here. Now we have created the prefabs of the cube, and now you can delete these two from the screen. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to generate I want to generate a I want to generate a cube using a code. So I'll go to the level manager script, and first of all I want to generate a type. So I will just create a game object and I'll call it something like a tile prefab. I'll call it a tile prefab, and I will what I'll do is uh, so once you created this game object in the editor, in the Unity editor, this is taking so much time. So in the Unity editor, you can see this tile prefab of the type game object created. So what you can do, you can drag one of your cube into, you can drag one of the cubes from the prefab and put it in the tile prefab. And now, so basically now this variable over here, tile prefab, will now correspond to one of the cubes. Now I want to create an instance of the cube whenever a game is starting. So for that we have this instantiate function. So the instantiate function is so Unity has a very good documentation, and you can search this instantiate in the instantiate function in Unity manual. So basically, while instantiating, what all things do we need? So we need a game object. This is prefab is basically corresponds to a game object. The location and quaternion dot identity is corresponds to the rotation, and we'll keep it as dot identity as this. Okay. So I'll just join the code and paste it over here. And basically, I want to instantiate this at 0, 0, 0 at the and instead of prefab, I will call it tile prefab. And when I just click on instantiate, save it. Sorry. And now when I click play, you can see that a tile has been instantiated. So this is live scene, and you can see a tile has been instantiated over here, like this at position 0, 0, 0. So yeah, but now we want to create a grid. And before that, let me just adjust the camera to something to some better position. So let's make y is 4 and x is something like -5, and rotate x by something like 40. And yeah, now the tile is at the center of the screen. So like copy the uh, let's copy the entire component, because once because you are in the play mode, and whatever changes you do won't reflect when you stop. So currently I have changed the position to and rotation of the camera. Once I stop playing, the positions are resetted. So now I can paste the component values. Now the camera is where camera I can basically camera went to the positions where I wanted it. Okay, so are everyone with me over here? Drop a +1, or if you want me to repeat anything, mention it in the chat. Okay, nice, nice, fine. So okay, so we are here now. What we'll do? Uh, Now what we'll do is uh, let's generate 5 tiles in a row. So in order to do that, let us create a new function called void function called generate tiles, and it takes an argument as an integer, and instead of and let's call generate tiles over here. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to generate some tiles. Before that, let me just instead of okay, let me just generate 5 tiles for now, and then I will generalize it. So what I have to do, I have to generate n many tiles. So right, simple. We'll write a for loop for it, and we'll call the instantiate function. But the thing is, if I instantiate it like this, the problem will be that all the tiles will be at the same position. We don't want that. So instead of uh, let's change the x position according to the value I. So I'll write I over here, and let's see what happens. So as you can see, I have generated like five tiles in a row. But now the thing is, you are not able to distinguish the fact that they are different tiles. So what I'll do, uh, I will go to the prefab of the I'll go to the prefab. I'll click this open in inspector. So I open the prefab, and here you can see in the scale there is this enable constant proportion. I click it. Now if I change any value, everything will be changed proportionally. So I'll make it to be 0.95. And now let's play again. Now you can kind of distinguish between the different tiles now. Now the second thing I want is I want to create an alternate pattern. Since I want to create an alternate pattern, I'll first of all I need to reference both the cubes. So let me get the other cube scale down as well to 0.95, and others will change correspondingly. And so I want to create I want to generate these two tiles. So but in my level manager I just have one tile prefab. So basically now I will create, instead of having this tile prefab as a single object, I create it as an array. And once I do this, uh, okay, I cannot do this. Let me just hide. Let me just comment this code for once. And okay, okay. Now, once I comment, once you comment this part of the code, so the error was due to the fact that tile prefab was now became an array, but I cannot use an array of game object as an argument to instantiate. So I just comment it for now. And now here in the inspector, you can see that tile prefab has some size, and once you change the size to like 2, you can see that it tells about the different elements. So here what I'll do, in element 0 I will drop the uh, white cube, and element 1 I will drag the dark cube. And here here instead of generating a tile prefab, I will generate a tile prefab of I mod 2. So basically this will alternately generate the uh, tile of different colors. So this is what we want, and we want to have it as the 2D grid. So basically to do that, we basically have another for loop nested inside a for loop. So that's very simple. So for but so now we want all the vector. Also want to change the z position of the tile prefab. So instead of I new vector I00, I will have it I0j, and instead of I mod 2, I will have I plus j mod 2. Now due to this, what will happen? Uh, if you play now, you got the alternating grid as we wanted. Uh, so this is alternating grid, but now this is like kind of off centered. So let's shift this. Let's shift this slightly. Uh, but before that, generalize the let's generalize this number of tiles. So for that, we have defined this in public integer number. So let me just rename it to number of tiles. Uh, and instead of generating 5 tiles, I'll generate number of tiles, many tiles. And in the Unity editor, I'll change this number to like something like 5 for now. And okay, so this should do. And if instead of 5 I write 7, instead of 5 I write 7, this should create a 7 by 7 grid. Yeah, as expected, it created a 7 by 7 grid. But now we know that it is slightly off centered. So what I want to like shift it by some amount to the, 3 tiles to the left and 3 tiles to the bottom. So to do that, what we can basically do uh, in this new vector 3, subtract I by n by 2, uh, and also subtract j by n by 2. Now we got a grid as we wanted, uh, like alternating grid at the center. So this was the part where we created the level. Does anyone have any doubt with respect to this? Uh, if you have any doubt, or if you want me to explain any part all over again, I'll do it. Or if you are like done with this, you can like type +1 or thumbs up in the chat. I'll wait for like 5 minutes now. Okay, I guess everyone is on the same page as I am. So let's continue further. So the next thing I want is I want to have a player which can move around. So in order to do that, let's create a new empty game object and call it player. Uh, and create a child object and call it and make a child object capsule. Basically, add a B and let's have its position set to 0 and y-axis to 1. And let's see how does this look in our game. Uh, okay, I guess this set reset. Yeah. Just a minute. So basically, the problem is I have set the transform a player's position to like some random values. Let me reset it to 0, and now let me play. So, but the player is too large for our board. Let me just scale it down a bit, maybe to 0.225. This is good enough, and maybe just have it slightly above, maybe 0.3, and let's see how it looks. It looks kind of fine. Maybe 0.25 makes more sense. Fine. Okay. Now Let me copy the component. Let me copy the component and give it back to paste the component values. Fine. And just for aesthetics, let me give some new color to this player and create a new material, and let's give him like some bright red color and drag this material onto the player. And okay, so now our player is basically starting at this position, but now we'll try to write some script which will help us control the player. So let's write that script. Uh, so you go to your scripts folder and create a new script and call it player manager. Player manager and drag this script onto the player game object. Okay. And in the Visual Studio, you will be able to see another script called player manager. Yeah. So here the idea is we want to start using we want to change the position of the player. So basically, what we'll do, and we also want that the player should start at a particular start position. So uh, let's have a a public variable of type vector 3. Vector 3 is basically three float. vector 3 is basically three floats, which basically denotes the position, and let's call it start position. And another thing that we'll need is basically the transform of the player. I will come back to it what transform is, and it is defined as it's called the transform variable is capital transform with capital T, and call it player transform. Okay, I'll explain what transform is now. So when you click on any game object, okay, let it load. Okay, so when you click on any game object, you can see that it has this property. It has this property, this component called transform in the inspector, and it has the three properties: position, rotation, and scale. So basically, this transform, this is the transform we are referring to over here. This is the transform that is being referred to over here. So basically, using this variable, using this player transform variable, we will be able to refer to player positions like players components like position, rotation, and scale. So, for example, uh, before that, to make this variable player transform refer to a player, let's this player into the drag this player into the player transform, and it will the Unity editor will automatically refer this create refer to the player's transform. So now this player transform variable is corresponding to this transform. Now we can basically print the position and other thing of the uh, so I'll just write a debug.log statement and print player transform. Okay, so once I play now, you can see in the console.log, this is the player transform is referring to uh, a player's transform, but I'll just print some values from it. Player transform that position. Uh, Wait a minute. Yeah. Maybe let's write player transform dot position dot y. And we know that initially player's position initial position is like 0.250. So when I print this in the console.log, I get y component as 0.25. So basically, we can use this variable to as access players attribute. So now what I want to, and second thing is we want the start position to be variable. So essentially, we'll do player transform dot uh, position is equal to start position. Okay, and once I do that, let me copy this position and okay, wait, and let me just okay. I copied the position. Copied the start position, and like basically whatever the initial position it is now of the player, I kept it over here. And if I drag the player somewhere else in the beginning of the game, but when I play it, it should come back to the same position. uh Wait a minute. Oh wait, I did not change the uh, player's position. I changed the capsule position. My bad. I reset it, and once I change the player to somewhere else in the beginning, it should come back to the same position. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Fine. Okay. Maybe let's increase this to like 0.35 or something. Okay, so here we are. Now we want our player to like move around by our using our arrow keys. So for that, what do we do is let's remove this debug statement. We want player position to start position in the beginning, and basically update function is called every time you on every frame basically. So to capture a key input, we use this function called input dot get key down. Input dot get key, and let's do it left. Uh, actually get key is another function. We will be using get key down function here, but I'll tell you what get key is and the difference between get key and get key down. So now what I'll do, I want a player this player's transform to when I press left. Uh, so whenever I press left, uh, so where is the camera? Main camera. Okay. So this is what we are seeing as of now. And whenever I want to go left, I basically have to decrease the x position by 1. And whenever I have to go right, I have to increase the x position by 1. So sorry, here I will write uh, player transform dot position equal to position plus, and instead of this, we cannot directly player transform dot position is a vector 3 type of variable. So I will have add a new. So when I want to go left, I basically have to decrease the x component by 1. So I will write it as this. Decrease the x component by 1, rest all remains the same. But now here you will see a problem. This code is incorrect, but now you'll see a problem. So as you can see, I just clicked it once and the object went very far away. Okay. And if you can see the position over here, pressing uh, as I'm as I'm pressing my left key, the position is going far away. This is because uh, this function will be returning to as long as my key is as long as I'm holding the key. So instead of using this, we'll use get key down. So it will basically be true for only that one frame where I'm pressing this button. So this is to like capture that. Oh, am I audible? Uh,
Now you are audible.
am I audible now?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Thank you. So now instead of get key, I will use get key down. So now what will happen? Uh, now if you play, I'm pressing left, but and I'm basically, even though I'm holding it, I'm just going one step to the left every time. So we are getting out of bounds, but we'll fix that later. And for now, let's write the code for let's copy this code and write it for all other buttons. So get key left is for the left arrow key, right is for right arrow key, up is for the up arrow key, and down is for the down arrow key. And now the thing is, whenever we are going left, we want to increase our decrease our x by one. Whenever we are going right, we have to increase our x by one. Up is basically, if I am not, in up, you have to like increase the z component by one, and down you have to decrease the z component by one. So this will be up, you have to increase the x component by one, and down you have to decrease it. And okay, this is how it looks like. And now let's run the code. So I am able to go up, down, left, right, everywhere. But now we are coming with the problem that I'm going out of bounds. So I need to I'm going out of bounds. So we need to handle this problem. So we know that the grid is like 5 cross 5. So instead of allowing us to go out of bound anytime, we'll add an if condition here that if a player transform the position, we don't want x to we need the x to be greater than 2. We need it to be greater than -2 if you want to decrease it. And we need it's we need it greater than it to be greater than -2, and we need it less than 2 to be in the same horizon, to restrict it horizontally. So now if we play again, now you can see I'm restricted. Even though I'm pressing left key multiple times, I'm now restricted, but still I can go in y direction. So in order to fix this further, uh, I'll just add more if statements over here, and it's a simple thing. But instead of x position, I will look at z position. If z is less than 2, if z is less than 2, increase. If z is greater than -2, okay, only then you can do it. Now using this, I guess I will stay within the bounds. So as you can see, I'm within the bounds. But now here's another problem. Now this time we created a grid which was 5 cross 5. But now here, as you can see in level manager, we can have the grid of like we can have a 7 cross 7 grid. And now the problem will be I cannot go beyond the outer layer. So I mean the fix is simple. We basically have to have this number of tiles, this function called number of this variable called number of tiles, and basically replace 2 by number of tiles by 2. But in order to do that, we need to have this variable in this script. But like if you write here number of tiles, uh, it will throw me an error telling that if I write here number of tiles by 2, it will throw me an error that this doesn't exist in current context. So basically, we need to fetch this variable from this script. In order to do so, what in order to do so, we'll do that we'll basically create a reference to this level manager game object. So let's create a new game object. There are multiple ways to do it, but I'll do it this way. Uh, we'll call it level manager. and let's have another game object of the type this level manager, this whatever the name of the script is. So basically object of this class, and let's call it L manager. Fine. And basically this object, so basically this game object, this small level manager will basically correspond to will make it refer to this guy. So if you go in the player script, this level manager will correspond to this, and from this object, and from this object, we'll try to get this element. We'll try to access this script. In order to do so, uh, now this L manager is an object of object object of this script. So let's initialize it. So in order to do so, we do L manager, which is of type level manager, equals game object. So the component, so like this component, like this level manager component is on level manager. So in order to access it, we do uh, L manager is equal to level manager. So this level manager is corresponding to this thing, this game object, and we write dot get component. What is the type of the component? The type of the component is this level manager. Okay. And now basically this L manager is this L manager is referring to this very script. And now what we want to do is, now we want that now we can access from this object, we can access this number of tiles with you. So I can write here L manager dot see, even the editor is even the Visual Studio Code ID is completing it for me. Like L manager dot number of tiles divided by 2, and wherever I can replace, where there is 2 by yes. Okay. So now let's see if it works. So as you can see now, now it will work on any grid of whatever size you need. So I have made only a grid of odd size. We can make a even size grid as well, but the problem over there was basically uh, that I couldn't. A problem in an odd size grid was even side grid was basically I had to shift it, and it's not a big task. You can just write an if statement to generate it accordingly. So yeah, so this is what we have by now, and let's try to create something that whichever tile we are on, whenever we leave that tile, let's try to destroy that tile. Okay. Uh, so in order to do that, uh, so we need to we need reference to the tiles once they are formed. So when you click play, you can see in the hierarchy that all the different tiles are being formed. But we need a reference to those we need a reference to those tiles in order to destroy those game objects. So in order to do so, let's create a new game object. Call it a new 2D array of game object. And in order to define a 2D array in unit C sharp, you basically add a comma in between and call it tiles. And let's give the size of this tiles uh, to so we want a number of tiles plus number of tiles mean. So number of tiles comma number of tiles. Okay. And the thing is, what we want to do is every time we instantiate a new, so this instantiate function essentially returns a reference to the game object. So instead of just calling the function, we'll try to store it somewhere. So now once I do this, so this tiles, let's not, okay. Once I do this, so basically tiles of ij is basically instantiate. So now this tiles will be a 2D 2D array of game object, and every a 2D array of game object, and it will correspond to the tiles that we have. Okay, I'm almost done with it. I'll just left with 15 more minutes, 10 or 15 more minutes, and after that I'll be done with my content. Okay, so basically now I have the reference. Now I have a reference to the now I have a reference to the tiles in this tiles game object. Now I want to destroy this part. So what I will do, uh, so we'll have to do this in the update thing. So whenever we move to a new tile, we should be destroying it. So uh, in every of this, let's call a void. Let's define a new function called destroy tile. And it will take uh, two parameters, basically the coordinates of the tile. And what I will do, if so we want to see if the tile exists, if the tile exists or not, if it is already destroyed or not. So basically, if uh, okay, so if level manager is so that script is accessed using L manager. So we write L manager dot tiles I comma j. If this object exists, then destroy it. To destroy any game object, we basically use the destroy function, and let's uh, let's see the documentation for destroy. So you just write destroy of object, destroy of game object, and it will destroy the object. So to do that, let's write destroy of destroy of tiles ij, and let's call this function everywhere. Call this function every time we move. So destroy tiles, and the x and y coordinate, the I and j coordinates will be basically uh, so for the I and j coordinates, we'll basically have to add for I and j coordinate, we basically have to add uh, L manager of tiles by 2 to both the x and y coordinates of a player. So player transform dot position dot x, player transform dot position dot x plus this quantity, and comma the x component and the z component. So let's see if it works for x if when we go left. Okay, and that is semicolon. I didn't write lmanager, but that's fine. The D is capital. Okay. Okay. So this is of the type float. I'll just convert it to int. Okay. Okay. This should do it. Okay. 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 So clearly we can see that there is some error with it. That is because I am doing it. This should be Z, and okay. So now as you can see, you are destroying all the tiles which are going to. And maybe if we add this function to like call this function every time, so it will be destroyed. It will always be destroyed. Okay. So now whichever tile I go to, I am destroying that tile. Okay, I can. Fine. Now let's write a code where you can only go to a tile which is not destroyed. So in order to do that, I mean that will be a very simple function to me. But you just had to add another condition over here, asking whether that tile exists or not. And if to check whether that tile exists or not, you just have to use lmanager of tiles. So so in today's in this session, we basically covered how to like how does the Unity editors work, the scripting works, how to define game objects and all, 1D arrays, 2D arrays, uh, how to how to instantiate an object, how to destroy an object, how does input works in Unity, and also how to reference other variables in other script in a given script. So that are the basic things that I think are required while learning Unity. Because when I started out with Unity, I struggled with this part where you have to reference a variable from other script into this script. That was something I struggled with a lot. And now when I got to know it, I was like, okay, so these are few things that I covered today. And in tomorrow's session, I will be taking tomorrow's session. I will be going into the physics part. In Unity, Unity has a decent enough physics engine, and we'll look into some aspect of it. So I guess I'm done with whatever I have to do today. If you have any doubt, you can like ask it, maybe unmute and ask. Else, we are like good to go.
So if you have any doubt, you could raise your hands or type it in the chat section.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to send you the scripts of the session. And also maybe I will write proper comments and send the files. And second thing is I guess this session was being recorded, so I guess the YouTube link will also go to you. So the recording will also be with you. So I guess that's done. Okay, hello. So another thing with game dev is just that uh, that following a tutorial or two might not help as much than doing things on your like trying to do things on your own. So maybe try something on your own, and then you might uh, will get stuck, and maybe then you can also pick up doubts tomorrow. Or I guess there's a doubt section on day 6 where me and Ashutosh both will be taking doubts. So by the time you can try out things, and yeah, and happy participating in the game jam. Okay. So if you want to like ask any more questions or like ask anything else, I'm here till like 5 more minutes, or else the session is done.